Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lex Talk Stuff Sunday morning podcast. I hope you all are doing very well this fine morning. Hopefully, your drives have been pretty good. Either you're going to church or you're going on a family event. Well, this Sunday is Father's Day. And at the time of this podcast, I am planning my Father's Day schedule with my dad. With my dad, I'm gonna take him to the gun range for Father's Day. It's been a couple of years since we've gone. I don't really go very much. Actually, and by very much, I mean very little. Like I personally, my philosophy is that I don't want to use guns, but I think I should at least know how to use one. Like I prefer not having to fire a gun in a real situation, but I think it's better for a lot of people to know how to shoot. Like my girlfriend is not a gun lover at all, but I guarantee you, if I took her to the gun range, she would kill it there. She would be awesome. Like she's just like, oh, I don't like guns. I feel gross doing it. And then the moment she like cocks it back, and after the first couple of shots, she gets like all bullseyes. She's like Deadshot from Suicide Squad.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
Like the first one, the bad one. But yeah, I think that would be, I think that'd be really fun to see. But yeah, so for Sunday, I'm taking my dad to the gun range. After that, we're gonna go to the Italian bakery that's next to my grandfather's place. Then pick up my grandfather, and then bring him back to my house for some like food, some wings, whatnot. And yeah, I think it'll be a nice, fun day. I mean, uh, I'm curious, like, if you guys, for people out there that don't celebrate Father's Day, that like don't have dads, do you like celebrate like your grandfather or your uncle or people that are like close to you? Like, I don't know how that goes. I always kind of thought of that and was like, huh, I wonder how this actually goes. Oh, well, who knows? I mean, anybody that's listening, comment down for someone that does not have like a father, but may have a father figure and maybe celebrates Father's Day with, like their uncle or a mentor or any sort of guardian that may not necessarily be a quote unquote father. But, um, but yeah, I'd like to know some of that. So I know last week I ended the show with talking about Star Wars: The Acolyte. I have not seen it yet. Hear that it's 3 episodes in, and it's got some mixed reviews on there. A lot of people on the internet not really liking it. Some people being like, "Yeah, it's all right." You know, I don't know what they're saying specifically. I have a general idea, but I like to leave it up to my own opinion, my own decision. I would like to watch it and then talk to my buddy Zach about it. I gotta get him on the show. We'll just talk about Star Wars for about an hour. Like if I'm doing just a solo show here, and for future references, this is how the podcast is gonna go. If it's by myself, it's gonna be probably like half an hour or under, because it's just whatever I'm feeling in the moment, whatever I feel like talking about in the moment, and whatever I think is going on or going through my brain. But if I do get like a guest or a co host on here, I definitely think we'll be going on for about like an hour, maybe more. Because I think we'll just be talking so much that we just have like so much fun. I probably will try to just keep it to like an hour, a little over. That way it makes it a little easier to edit. Because I feel like with the podcast by myself, like if I'm doing this just me, then it takes me less time to edit. Because for those who don't know that are listening, I am an editor at my job. I might get into further details about what that job is later on, but I am an editor at a TV station, and I've done a few shows. No Emmys, although a coworker of mine won an Emmy like a week or two ago. And I was like, that's awesome, and she's really talented, and she really deserved that. Like, she's one of the hardest working people there at the station, and she absolutely deserved it. So, speaking of when I was talking about like The Acolyte and like catching up, it also reminded me The Boys season 4 just dropped a couple of days ago. And I was like, holy shit, it's already out? Like, I haven't seen Generation V. Hell, I haven't watched Invincible season 2 yet. So I think like next week I'm gonna watch Gen V. Then I'm gonna watch the first few episodes of The Boys season 4, and then just go with it from there. Because what you may learn as time goes on is I am always late to the party on like big stuff. I'm constantly playing catch up. Like, I am the guy that when Community made it to Netflix, like I was the biggest like fan of that when it was coming out. And I was saying like, "Hey guys, have you heard of this show called Community?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's like it's been like 5 years since it got canceled. Where the hell were you?" I was like, "I don't know, I just found it on Netflix like yesterday." Like, I feel like I haven't really watched South Park, but there's like a guy that's like stuck in a glacier who's like from the 90s, and he needs to like catch up on everything.
Do you see that, Kevin? These clothes are from Eddie Bauer. I haven't seen anybody wear clothes from Eddie Bauer since 1996.
I feel like I am absolutely that guy. Like, there's always going to be a video game, there's always going to be a movie, there's always going to be a show, there's always going to be a book that I am not reading, watching, or playing because I'm just always behind. Because typically I just, do rewatches or rereads of stuff I've already seen because I don't feel like watching something new. I think we've all had that feeling of like, what do I want to watch a new thing? What if I don't like it? What about I go to the old thing that's really good? And I think everyone has that feeling, but it's not good to just keep that. You gotta like check out new stuff and see what catches your eyes. Like my mom has been watching a lot of like Hallmark movies, and because just nothing new finds her fancy. She's kind of like, there's no like new movies that I really want to like check out. I'm just gonna watch my Hallmark murder mystery movies. I'm like, okay, mom, and I go like, oh hey, look, it's Lacey Chabert. I love her. She's Gretchen Wieners. Stop trying to make fetch a thing.
That is so fetch. Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
Another thing that I was thinking about was Spectacular Spider-Man, the cartoon. And I was just thinking about like how cool its intro is. You know, with the spectacular, spectacular Spider-Man. Spectacular, spectacular Spider-Man. Like once it starts and you start picking up on it, and then at the end you're singing along with it. And the show was just so good. So great. Like I can't believe like how good it is. And how at times it feels like it's underrated. Because a lot of people when they think of Spider-Man cartoons, they think of the 90s cartoon, which is the first one I saw too. Like granted, yeah, I'm a 2000s baby. I was born in 2001. My girlfriend was born in 2000, so every time I say my birth year, she looks at me like surprised. It's just like, "Oh my god, that's right. I forgot you're a baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. Love you." Like I watched reruns of Spider-Man the Animated Series with Christopher Daniel Barnes with his incredible voice acting. I'm not joking. Like he put his heart and soul into that show. Like he showed up to work. Like I want everyone to know that Christopher Daniel Barnes went to work when he did that show.
Get back here, Shocker! Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
And for some people that don't know, he also was Prince Eric in The Little Mermaid, which is my girlfriend's favorite Disney movie. I love The Little Mermaid. I think he's great in that. But yeah, like that show is so influential, and that's what everyone thinks of when they think of Spider-Man. And I was hungry for another Spider-Man show after that, and then I saw Spectacular Spider-Man on like Disney XD, and I was loving it. I was like, this is great. Josh Keaton is my definitive Spider-Man actor. Like, I love him so much. He is the Kevin Conroy Batman to Spider-Man. I would also say Tim Daly is the Kevin Conroy Batman to Superman. Like that's just how I feel. Like I feel like a lot of my definitive like takes on superhero characters come from the cartoons and their voices. Like I really wish Spectacular could come back for like, a third season, cuz I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about what would have happened had the show continued. Apparently in season 3 they would have gone to like Hobgoblin. I think that would have been so awesome. They were building up to Carnage, Hydro Man, and Scorpion were going to be in there. I think they were going to do the Jackal. They like built that up so much. That show is a masterclass in world building for a character and their entire like universe. Like I feel like Spider-Man by himself can have his own universe. But that's also like the problem with the Sony Spider-Man universe, because it doesn't have Spider-Man in it. And they keep just dodging like the Peter Parker aspect of it. Where so much so that like in Madam Web, they don't even say the words Peter Parker. They're too busy talking about how, her mom studied spiders in darkest Peru or whatever.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Madam Web. I didn't see that movie, but oh my god. I can't believe they got that made. And that movie could have worked out. If they put the effort into it, it could have been a good movie. They would have been like, I didn't ask for this movie, but it was a damn good movie. Like, but no. Sony's not interested in making good products. They're interested in making a cinematic universe that competes with Marvel. And it's just it's exhausting. Don't even get me started on like Marvel now. Because I was actually talking with my dad the other day about, the MCU and saying that I don't know how I'm going to feel about like the movies going forward. Like I want them to be good. The one that's gonna have to get me back in is Fantastic Four. And as much as I love Pedro Pascal, he's an amazing actor and seems like a very sweet and wonderful guy. I just don't see him as Mr. Fantastic. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people online that like are in the same camp as me, and they're not trying to point out like his heritage. There are some people that kind of are, and it's just like that's not what I'm focusing on. I just don't think that Pedro even looks close to Reed, even though Reed is Caucasian. We've certainly have had actors that have played, white characters before, but they at least look like them a little, like have some resemblance. Like, for instance, Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman in The Batman. She may not be Caucasian, but to me, she has like the face structure of Selena Kyle. Like looking at her hair, her eyes, her cheeks, I'm just like, yeah, that's Catwoman. And Jeffrey Wright really surprised me as Gordon, because like he's got the Gordon glasses, the Gordon mustache, and the Gordon attitude, and I'm just like, yep, I buy that you're Gordon. Like, I totally buy that you are James Gordon. Like, I want to see more of you. And I'll get into a thing on, like, the Batman later. But I was saying, like, with the MCU, I really hope that we just start getting better quality movies. Like, I hope Deadpool and Wolverine just surprises us. Like, I really, really, really hope that is a good movie. Because that was also filming during the writer's strike. And when I heard that the movie was no longer Deadpool 3, it was called Deadpool and Wolverine, I was like, oh, so Wolverine doesn't just show up, he's like co-starring in the movie. Like, that was what surprised me the most. And Cassandra Nova is the bad guy, which I like. I love Magneto so much, but let's use other X-Men bad guys that aren't just humans, Sentinels, or Magneto. Like, I've seen William Stryker. I've seen the Sentinels. I've seen Magneto a lot, especially in live action. Let's go to some of the others. Cassandra Nova, I'm cool with that. Mr. Sinister, yes please. Apocalypse, let's ignore that movie and try again. Hell, even Mystique is kind of her own bad guy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. I hope Fantastic Four is good. I know Blade just lost another director. I really hope that movie is good, because I love Mahershala Ali, and I think he's perfect casting for Blade. And I really, really, really want to see more Blade stuff come out, because we're also getting a Blade game from I believe it's Bethesda. Like, I'll double check later, but I am excited for that. I think Blade's very interesting. I'm not the biggest Blade fan on the planet, but whenever I see him, I do get excited. It's like whenever I see Red Hood or John Constantine, I'm like, ooh, they're here. Like, I just get all giddy and excited. But yeah, like earlier, let's talk about the Batman. I really am curious how, like, Batman Part 2 is going to go. Because someone asked, hey, James Gunn, are we going to get Batman Part 2 and 3? And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't cancel those. And I'm like, good, thank you. Let Matt Reeves continue, like, his universe. Like, he is building his own Batman universe. And I think he should continue. Part of me would have liked to have had him be part of, you know, the DCU, but Matt Reeves was like, no, I don't want to include it. I want to do my own thing. Just like, Miles, I'm gonna do my own thing.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
So with the Batman, like, I was saying how much I love Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. Also loved Robert Pattinson as Batman. I kind of want like a Batman Year One-esque movie with those two actors. Like, we see Jim be transferred from Chicago into Gotham. You know, he rises up in the ranks. Bruce is figuring out how to be Batman. You know, he's dealing with the mob bosses. Like, they're not even close to costume crime yet, which is exactly like what I like seeing. Like, I love seeing the progression from, like, when Batman starts, it's like rapists and murderers and mobsters, and that's it. And then when he keeps going, you just see like more and more costume crime occur. Like, when we get to like the Long Halloween, which is basically Batman Year 2, and like we see more of these villains come out of the waterworks, like when we see more of these villains come out of the woodworks, we see like Penguin, Riddler, Poison Ivy, Solomon Grundy, Scarecrow, and then Two-Face at the end of the story. Like, I just love seeing the transition from like classic crime to like costume crime, where it's like, this is a superhero universe. We transition from like real grit to more slightly comic book-esque universe, which I think is where the Batman is going. You know, I really want it to go that way. I think it would be fun starting like all gritty and grounded, and then ending with it being a lot more, you know, comic accurate while also having a different take. I think that's why I love the Batman so much, because it's familiar yet different. Like, I'm watching the Batman and I'm like, this feels like a Batman movie. It doesn't feel like someone's trying to reinvent the wheel. It's Batman, but with a slightly different take. And I'm just like, I am perfectly fine with this. Like, I love it. I love it so very much. One last thing I want to talk about. I want to give a heartfelt. I could just have some really sad news that I'm sure everyone has heard by now, and that is the passing of Comicstorian. You know, Benny Potter from Comicstorian. His wife last week just announced on X and Instagram and other social media outputs that, you know, her husband passed away in an unfortunate accident, and that he, you know, that they will try to continue the channel, but for now, like, they're just gonna take a little break, take time to grieve, and I say take all the time you need, and it just, it just breaks my heart because Comic Storian was one of the reasons why I got into comic books. Like, I watched the cartoons, I had small encyclopedias, I watched like the movies and some shows, but but my way into the source material was because of him. It's because of him, Rob Jefferson of Comic Explained and Sal from Comic Pop. Those three are my influence, my inspirations into getting into comic books as a medium. And I just want to say to anybody that's a fan and to the family of Benny Potter that I'm so very sorry for your loss. My condolences, and that Ben, touched a lot of people's hearts, and that he just seemed like such a great guy, and everyone in the community will miss him very much, and so many people from the industry recognized how important he was, and like Tom King and Tom Taylor and Robert Venditti and Scott Snyder were on social media giving their condolences, and even the news was covering the death of Benny, and it just shocked me. I was like, wow, he was like I guess part of me was like, wow, more people really watched Benny than I thought. Like, it felt like it was kind of just like a me thing. I didn't know anyone else personally that watched him. I had people that used to watch him, but I stuck with him for like 7 years with like the Comics Experiment podcast that he did. Like, it started with him and Rob from Comics Explained. They were friends, very good friends, and to Rob, I'm very sorry for the passing of your dear friend, and Sal from Comic Pop, who has been working with him on many podcasts for years. My heart goes out to you too. Just rest in peace, Benny Potter. Thank you for my love of comics. Thank you. I'm sorry to end this on a more sour note, but I just want to say, just treat every day almost like it's your last, and just live it to the best of your abilities. Just try to love life as much as you can, because it can be short. Thank you. Well, you guys can find me on social media and on YouTube, and I'm currently working on trying to get this on Apple Podcasts, maybe even Spotify. So I'll see you guys around. Thank you, and have a good day.